So as mentioned in volume 2.1, long shots were one of the key ideas I was trying to take away. So the way I structured this video was to start off as a singular image before actually building up to the long shot. And this was to allow for a contemporary audience to get that abundance of imagery before finally getting to that long shot and being a part of the landscape. So to start off with a singular image helps to provide context, a reference point for how an audience may, their starting point. This build-up of images would be the distortion and fragmentation of imagery that may be affecting how we connect to the landscape, metaphorically, maybe even physically. So it's like this metaphorical boundary. It's a personal reflection of myself throughout this project, but also a critique on society with Facebook and all that stuff, which could affect our attention spans within the landscape. So it's about trying to activate them through what they're used to seeing, this abundance of imagery, and then trying to get them to this end point where we can find what's hidden within the landscape. So this crazy amount of imagery before finally getting to this slow point, and how we can find the body of landscape which is hidden behind the static framing of image. In this long shot image, I was trying to play with the temporal scale, trying to find a story of what that means to me, trying to reflect that back to the audience so they can make their own interpretations of what they're actually seeing. And if you can show the landscape processes as well, we can try to activate metaphorically what the audience may not be used to seeing. So it's about interpretation, this final image, and trying to figure out what they're watching. And I guess it's that point when they finally get to that long shot where they're really kept in the landscape. They're trying to figure out what they're actually seeing, possibly what they're not seeing, and if they actually understand that. I'm still unsure if I've done it well or not, but this is something to work on as I get work into volume 3. And I'm hoping that metaphorical connection can also have a physical point to start from, that in-between space between metaphorical and physical. So overall, volume 1 was more about the physical journey, activating that through my own physical presence within the site, imagination, and what that actually meant for the site. As volume 2 has shifted more to the metaphorical, trying to use the mind to connect with everything around us, what we're seeing, and I'm trying to allow the audience to let them make up their own mind about what they're seeing, what that means to them, so they can try and make personal connections based off their own experiences. So it's not completely subjective. I'm allowing the audience to make up their own mind. And I'm hoping through this process that they can also find that hidden spot that I've found, or maybe the general community, about these hidden spaces that exist within the urban realm. So again, I'm hoping volume 3 I can find that in-between space, the metaphorical connection of watching visual imagery and the physical relationship. So here's the site. Just going to quickly sketch up what I've done so far. So again, volume 1 was just this physical journey up along this corridor, which is wedged in between these industrial sites. It's connected on one end to a green space. And there's a few interesting places that you can explore physically. But I guess one of the big factors for me is when I took Shannon and Steve out there, you get to this end point and there's nothing there. You just left. You have to imagine what's beyond that point, and I think that's going to lead me into volume 3. It's how you allow the metaphorical side, based off a physical journey, imagine a space that you can't go to. And it's the point where reality stops and it becomes a completely imaginary space beyond where you can see. So this is like just two elements coming together, divided by these physical thresholds between nature and man-made, even though the whole site is completely man-made, engineered. And it's that corridor right in between the industrial road where the trucks stop. So I think volume 3 might be about breaking down that threshold, opening it up, allowing it to be a cohesive side if it's physical, or how metaphorically you tie those two elements together to create one. So there's areas where you have to break the threshold or metaphorically think about what might be beyond the physical point of where you can actually get to. Those are going to be critical areas that can be shown to future audiences or continue to be developed to try to generate design ideas throughout this project.